Are you in good hands? Is anybody actually on your side? Today, we talk about some of the kind of sort of shady tactics insurance companies are employing to take advantage of you. Good morning, everybody. It's Jobeth Bowers, your Elkton, your Cecil County accident and injury guy. I'm coming at you from my Elkton office. As you can notice, a few more things going up on the wall behind me. All of this is going to change soon because it's all going to get done properly. We are just over a month in the new location. So, yeah, growing pains to some extent and working all this through. Today, what the pain that we want to talk about is the pain that happens after the pain that happens after an auto accident. What am I talking about? I'm talking about insurance companies taking advantage of injured people. And arguably, one could describe the business model of insurance companies who deal with property and casualty. So basically, auto accident, auto policies. These companies, their business model is to set these premiums. You know, there are folks sitting in a room somewhere, and now probably a lot of this is done using AI, that can do the math and can literally tell you how many accidents are going to happen at whatever intersection over the course of a period of time and how severe they're going to be. And those predictions are incredibly accurate, which means insurance companies can look at this and say, hey, statistically speaking, we're going to pay out X amount of dollars this year, or at least we should. So they take that number, they take the cost of running their operation, which is salespeople and customer service and claims management and attorneys to defend these cases and a whole lot. Okay, cool. This is what this costs. This here is what we want to make. Now divide that number up, and that's what we're charging in premiums. Step 2. Now you've got a business model that runs. You've got your costs handled. You've got your profit built in. People have that, and there it goes. Now let's tinker. Let's take that first number and figure out, how do we lower it? How do we lower the expense of paying claims? And that's where some of the tactics that I'm going to talk to you about today come into play. Now, I have talked about these tactics over years of doing this podcast in small little snippets. Insurance companies do this and they do that, and they don't want you to do this. Well, one of the things they don't want you to do is they don't want you to hire me. They don't want you to have representation in your corner. They're the only ones that should have the attorneys. That's what they think, and that's the advantage that oftentimes they have over you. One of the things that they will do, and you've heard this statement before, maybe. I certainly have, but again, I'm in the industry, so it's a little different. Deny, delay, defend. Deny claims, delay paying claims, and if push comes to shove, defend them in court. Now, I will say, working those in reverse, having an attorney that knows what they're doing helps with the defend part. If they know they're going to get put through the buzzsaw, they're going to pay the claim. Delaying the claim is the whole process of, hey, we're going to make this take as long as possible. Sometimes defend isn't defend, it's an extension of delay. The insurance company, I had a case literally 2 weeks ago, it resolved. But let's rewind. I actually spoke about this case on a previous episode where the insurance company offered no more than $60-some thousand to resolve the claim, forced me to file suit. And I was borderline belligerent with this insurance adjuster saying, hey, this case is worth twice what the limit of your insurance policy is. It is inevitable. I could take a 6th grader off the street and teach them in an afternoon how to try this case, and they'd get more money from a jury than the limit of your insurance policy. They still made me file suit in the case. They still made us serve the defendant. And they delayed that claim another 2 months, roughly, really hoping that there'd be a point of desperation. And that's a lot of times what it boils down to, especially now when prices are going up and through the roof on things, when everything is more expensive. These insurance companies know regular people are getting pinched. And if you're getting pinched and somebody offers you $60,000 when they really owe you 100, you might say, hey, I could really use some of that $60,000 right now. And the insurance company saves 40 grand. Now, multiply that over the hundreds, if not thousands of claims that these insurance companies are handling every single week. Thousands of claims a week. If they can save an average of $1,000 per claim, just $1,000 per claim. I'm not talking about ripping somebody off for 40 grand or worse. I have stories about worse. For example, this Post-it note. Last week, I was archiving an old closed out file. This is a case that my office resolved for, again, the limits of an insurance policy, $100,000. This Post-it note, which I believe that you could see in the camera, was in the file. Now, this might not mean much of anything to you because you don't do this every day. Early offer of $2,000. What does this mean? I'll tell you what this means. Now, I may not be able to be precise about this, but at some point in time, within the first month, maybe 2, of us representing this person who was injured to the point that ultimately and eventually the case resolved for $100,000, a representative from the insurance company called up and said, hey, we want to offer your client an early settlement of $2,000. I paused for you intentionally to do that highly complicated math in your head of, well, he just said that the case settled for $100,000. Wow. They were to rip that client off for 98 grand. And they'll do it and they won't think twice. You get in an accident, some of these insurance companies who want you to believe that folks like me are the, quote, ambulance chasers, will show up under the guise that they are there to inspect your vehicle, inspect its damages, do an eyeball estimate, and cut you a check for you to take to a body shop and begin the repairs on that vehicle. And they do this eyeball estimate and hand you a check and they hand you some paperwork because they have a little printer in the car with all the, hey, this needs to be fixed and that needs to be buffed out and this needs to be replaced and painted and all the other stuff. And it's all legit because you're supposed to take that check and that estimate to the body shop of your choosing. We like Purnell Body Shop if we're in Elkton. Purnell is great. We've worked with them. I can't tell you how many times over the years. My clients love them. They go the extra mile. I highly recommend Purnell Body Shop for, oh, look at this. I actually have, boom, their logo there. They didn't pay me to do this. I just legit have great experiences from my clients dealing with them, and they do legitimately go the extra mile. They don't want you to take that check to the body shop because they know when you go to the body shop, yes, this is another one of the insurance company tactics. They might have cut you a check for $1,200. They know as soon as that bumper comes off or that quarter panel comes off, hey, there's another $800 to $1,000 in damages. If you go and buy an Xbox or the new PlayStation or the new Nintendo Switch with that money, they don't have to pay the rest of the claim. And then, fast forward to when they deal with the lawyer guy. Hey, how was your client hurt? There was only $1,200 worth of damage to that vehicle. If you think I haven't heard that phrase or some version of that phrase 1,000 times in my career, Well, you probably didn't think about that until I said it, but you're wrong. I hear it a lot. Not all the time because, well, a lot of what we deal with are very severe and high-end cases with tremendous damages, but from time to time, and there are a handful of companies who love to say, hey, there's not enough damage. We're going to, here's the other D, deny this claim. There is no correlation between that damage and your client being hurt. Well, that's a lie. There's a whole lot of scientific and engineering and physical, studies that have been done to prove that that's not accurate. But that's not even what I'm here to talk about, because that person that came out to write that check for the $1,200 has a second checkbook. He or she'll say, hey, were you injured in this accident? Did you get any medical care? Hey, let me cut you a check for another $1,000 for that. And what they don't tell you is that if you take that check, that case is done. That check is this Post-it note, except it's probably more like $900 to $1,200. Two scenarios recently. One was actually like 2 years ago, so not so recent. Client had actually settled the case for $800 and some. Came to us and said, hey, I have these issues. This just happened. The operative point here is that it had just happened because we were in a very, very small window that was designed to fix this problem when insurance companies take advantage of injured people, that we could have the client send the money back. We could undo the settlement. Another case that we ultimately settled for the policy limits of $100,000. I want to say something that's not really intended for this episode and this topic, but it would be foolish of me to not circle back to why you need to review your insurance policy, because each of these cases that I'm describing that settled for the policy limits of $100,000 probably would have settled for more. One of them, eyes closed, would have settled for double if there were more insurance coverage. This is why you need to have me take a look at your insurance policy and then go fix it. Talk to your agent or whatever, have them fix it. I'm not going to sell you the policy. That stuff happens. I'm scared. I'm legitimately scared for the number of times that what I just told you happens and stops with, and the insurance company sent and they accepted $900. And then they're like, oh, this hurts, or the back hurts, or the neck hurts. And then they go and they get a surgery, and it's all related to the accident, but you can't get anything for it. You're paying copays. You're not being reimbursed for them. You're missing time from work. You're not being reimbursed for it. Why? Because you already settled the case. You already closed the door. All of these are tactics that the insurance company wants you to slip into the trap, because it saves them thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And back to that kind of layout of the chart of where does the money come from? If we keep it in the door, we get to put it in our pocket and never have to pay it out again. That's all I have for this week. Super important topic. Go watch it again. As always, you're welcome to contact me, talk about this kind of stuff. My office is here to help if you are in one of these situations. Do not take that early settlement. Also, this weekend, June 27th, join us in the morning. Bring your papers, stuff that you want shredded. This is an absolutely free event sponsored by some great local businesses. Moon Air, they take care of all of our heating and air conditioning, not just here at the office, but at the old office, at my house. They are there. They've got you. Steve Simmons, top State Farm agent, in my opinion, which I consider to be quite qualified in the entire county. There are some bad ones. It's not him. He also has an office over in Aberdeen and Bel Air. So if you're in Harford County seeing this, and really, the insurance world is so virtual that you could pick up the phone and do most of this over email and text message and, whatever document signing service they have. So wherever you are in the state, they can certainly help you out. ServPro of Cecil County, who I have already talked so much about. Is this just a plug event for all the people who have helped me out? Maybe that's what this episode is. I'm talking about how Purnell has helped out so many of my customers, my clients, how Steve Simmons is the top State Farm agent in the entire county. Like, seriously, I have never, and you know, if you watch this, that I review a lot of people's insurance policies, which means I see the good ones and I see the bad ones. I have a highly qualified opinion on who is good, and it's definitely him. Moon Air has definitely hooked us out. ServPro, you know the story about the leak in the office and fixing that like it never even happened. In fact, I'm going to throw his number up here one more time. My guy, Mike, put this in your phone. Put this number in your phone. Do it that way with like emergency and the stars so that when you're in your phone, it's up near the top. If you have a flood, if you have a fire, if you have some sort of disaster at your house, give Mike a call. He will be there. He will have a crew there. He will get it cleaned up, and your insurance company is ultimately going to pay for it. So you're not cutting him a check out of pocket, really. You've got insurance for that. I can take a look at that insurance policy too, just to make sure. So that's the big tip. Just call me. Call my office, 885-6200. If you are injured in an accident, don't fall for any of these tactics that are really just designed to keep money in the insurance company's pocket. It's not what we're here for. We're here to advocate for you. We've got your back. We're here fighting for you. You get the peace of mind with my office that everything that we know about, which means you've got to communicate with us. It's almost like this is like a clip episode of previous episodes, because all of these topics, they all do tie together. And if you want to see those and have an actual just look through and get all of the old episodes, go there, bowerslawmd.com. Look right up at the top where it says podcasts. That is where you will find all of the old episodes, all the back information, tons and tons of knowledge. That's all the time I have for you today. I appreciate you tuning in. Share this. Send a friend, because this is super important stuff. This could save somebody tens of thousands of dollars. And what I want is for the recipient of that saving benefit to not be an insurance company. That's all I have. Be safe. Be safe out there. Be well.